Okay, Dad, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Don't look at me, I didn't know you then.
Sit up, Lisa.
I remember you telling me about when you were 2 years old. There you go, mention that.
2 years old, lay on the sofa
Uh-huh,
with my mom,
uh-huh.
and she was crying. And I'm not sure why she was, but
Right.
that's about what I remember.
Do you remember anything else about your mom when you were young?
Oh yeah, but not that big a time,
Right. What are some of the things you remember about her?
Yeah.
How about the time you and Jim were in the car and she walked by? Grandma Rutsey walked by and they weren't supposed to talk to her because I don't know what happened with Grandma and Grandpa,
I'm not sure.
but they were estranged and she walked by the car and Mark,
Dad.
Eugene and Jim weren't supposed to talk to her, and how sad that was.
So was that about one of the last memories you have of her as a child growing up?
Well, later on, that's not the last one.
Right. How old were you when she moved out or whatever, or left?
Oh boy, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, you were so little, it happened when you were 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Do you know why it happened?
they just didn't get along together.
Right. Right. And what did your dad tell you happened when your mom finally left?
She died.
That she died? And you guys never had any reason to believe
At
otherwise?
the time, but then they
Yeah.
found out that it's not true.
Yeah. How did you find out?
Your aunt called, and I can remember answering the phone. And she asked to talk to Dad.
Right. Mom, let's ask you that same question. What was your earliest childhood memory?
Playing with my cousins and having a ball.
Really?
My cousin Jane and my cousin Victor, my cousin Virginia. But my cousin Jane was my favorite.
I've never heard of her before.
I know. You know, when Uncle Al and Aunt Connie were in New Jersey, well, this was probably 10 years ago, I tried. I contacted her, I called her, I left her all kinds of messages, I wrote her a letter. She never called me back. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I haven't been in touch with her for years and years.
Right. So what was your childhood like?
I just was lucky to have a very happy, non-traumatic childhood. You know, I guess Grandma told me as she got older that she had such a unhappy family because her mom and dad didn't get along and her dad was abusive, and I never knew that. That she vowed that her children would have a happy childhood. And she accomplished that.
Right.
Dear old Grandpa was so nice because he just let Grandma be the boss, basically. You know Grandma, she was the boss.
Yeah.
And he just kind of watched over everybody.
Did you have any hard times in your childhood?
You know, I saw on your list there, do I remember the Depression? And even though I was born near the end of it, I never knew there were ever hard times. And the only thing I remember about World War II, I noticed that was one of your questions too. Dad has lots of memories.
Yeah.
What memories do you have of World War II?
I remember when it started. I kind of followed throughout the war too. So I always got interested in that stuff.
How old were you when you started? About 8 or 9?
I was born in 1933, so the war started in 41.
So 8.
8 years old there.
Right.
Same age as Jared is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jared's interested in that type of stuff too. Very interested. Did you get an allowance when you were growing up?
No.
No? How about chores? Did you have to do chores?
Well, we always had chores to do, yeah.
Like what?
Nothing specific, just everything.
Dishes,
You know, 'cause
laundry.
You know, I didn't have no laundry. It was my dad and my brother and me. You know,
Right.
that was it.
So you guys had to do laundry and dishes and all the girly stuff, huh?
How'd you learn to clean house?
I did.
Does he clean house well now?
Yeah. Well, no, not now. Not anymore. But he used to do a really good job.
Somebody's got to do it.
Oh, thanks.
I remember you talking about a time when you and Uncle Jim, I mean, what were some of the things you and Uncle Jim did when you were growing up for fun?
Or got in trouble.
Or got in trouble for?
Shooting out windows with BB guns.
Shooting out windows with, you told me it was a 22.
Well, it might have been a 22.
So
Could have been a 22.
you were shooting out windows of somebody's house?
Well, we had a 22 there too.
Yeah. Somebody's house?
Oh, yeah, somebody's house.
Was somebody in there? Or?
No, they weren't there at the time. You know, it was a summer home.
Where was it?
Just like a couple blocks away from us.
Poconos?
Yeah, in the Poconos, yeah.
Oh, so you lived in, where did you grow up in?
Pittston, Pennsylvania.
Pittston, Pennsylvania. So you lived in Pennsylvania. How long did you live in Pennsylvania?
Well, from the time I was born until 1948, we moved out of Detroit.
You were 15 or 16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we moved out to Detroit.
Did you want to move to Detroit when you moved?
Well, yeah, but the reason we moved out there because Jim wanted to go to college at University of Detroit.
Okay.
So that's what he got accepted as or moved out there.
Right. What did your dad do growing up?
He was a contractor, painting contractor.
And that's all he ever did?
Yeah, that's,
Really? That's hard work.
yeah, he did good. He did.
Yeah. Okay, let's move over to Mom. What were some of your favorite hobbies or things that you liked to do growing up?
Ride my bike and play cards, and we used to go to the beach a lot because we lived on the ocean or near the ocean.
And this was in Connecticut? Okay.
Yep. So I was 10 when we moved out to Detroit in 1948. Isn't that weird? I didn't
Yeah.
have Dad for a long time, but we both moved to the Detroit area in the same time.
Right.
And I felt all grown up. I can remember walking down the street in Detroit at our new subdivision, and it was a subdivision of little small Cape Cod houses, kind of a subdivision where they're all built the same, and I couldn't tell the house I lived in because they were all the same. I was scared to death. But, you know, you get used to that.
What did you guys have pets when you were growing up?
Yeah, we most of the time had a dog. Grandma liked dogs.
Grandma liked dogs.
Yeah.
Dad, how about you?
Yeah, we always had a dog.
A dog? Do you have any other pets?
Well, no, just basically dogs.
How about the goat?
Oh yeah, goats, yeah.
Oh, a goat. Well, that's another
Goats,
pet.
yeah, goats.
What was the goat's name? Do you remember?
Oh my god. Can't remember the name of it. We used to have a couple goats. Yeah.
Really?
And chickens?
Yeah, chickens, yeah, but not basically goats. So.
Yeah.
They were just like a dog. The goats, they follow me around and everything.
Really? Were they pretty friendly?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. I remember you telling me about that
Who
before.
cooked dinner?
Yeah, we all did. We were hungry.
What'd you cook?
Whatever was there.
Whatever was there. Goat? Or chicken, maybe? So, did you grow chickens and then eat the chickens?
On the farm we did.
Yeah. In Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have electricity and indoor plumbing and everything when you were growing up?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Was that uncommon during that time period, or did
Yeah, because where we lived at Pennsylvania was close to the city. You know. We weren't out in the country then.
Right. So most people out in the country didn't have electricity or running water.
We were more like suburban, not country.
Right.
Didn't you tell me that when you lived in Pennsylvania in what town? What's the town?
Pittston.
That you lived across the street from a coal mine?
Yeah.
Did you ever go in the coal mine?
Yeah.
You did? Did Did you ever get caught?
No, it was usually my lawn anyhow. So
Oh, was
we
it?
went very far, I think.
Right.
They get pretty deep and all that. And they,
Was it closed down?
oh no,
No.
still up there, no.
Yeah. What were your grandparents like?
Well, my grandparents, I can't remember much about them. I don't think I ever knew my grandfather.
Really?
I knew my grandmother for a little bit. When she died, I'm not sure exactly when, but I never had much relationship with her. You know.
Right. Did your grandfather, was he the one who came over from Italy?
Yes, yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. It wasn't your great grandfather?
Yeah.
No. No. Mom, did you guys have electricity when you were growing up and running water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was all regular
Right.
house.
Right. And that was pretty normal back in there that everybody did?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody that we knew.
Right. Right.
And of course, we lived in Stratford and Bridgeport, Connecticut, so those were industrial towns.
Right. What did Grandpa do during?
During the war, the reason he never was drafted was because he was manager of a factory that made parts for the war.
Okay.
He made fasteners, or the factory did, and he was the head of the company, so to speak.
What did he do when he moved out to Detroit?
He worked for Quaker Chemical in sales and did really well, loved the job, and he worked with Quaker until he retired.
Right. Right. What do you remember about your grandparents?
I remember, well, of course, my maternal grandmother, Grandma's mom, died when Grandma was just a teenager. But my grandpa, I remember, and my other two grandparents, my dad's parents, I remember pretty well. Actually, Grandpa Sanger was the fire chief in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and then Uncle Freddie was too, right after that, his son, Grandma's brother.
Okay.
But I wasn't as close to them as I was to Grandpa Angelus. He was a butcher. Grandma Angelus died probably when I was 4 or 5, but I never really liked her very much. She babysat for me, and one of my earliest memories was her locking me in a closet one day. I must have done something she didn't like, and that scared me.
Right.
And I just never liked her.
Did she ever tie you up to a tree? No, I'm just kidding. I don't remember that, so.
Oh dear.
What relative of yours came over first to America?
Well,
Do you remember, or
yeah,
do you know?
my grandfather did, from Lithuania.
Grandpa Angelus?
Not your grandpa,
Right,
but
your
my
great-grandpa Angelus, right.
Your great grandpa.
Right.
My grandfather came from Lithuania.
Uh-huh.
When he came, and I think so did my grandma, but I'm not 100% sure. They both came from Lithuania. Their last name was Anzulis, and when they got here at Ellis Island, they changed it to Angelus.
Right.
When they come over.
I don't know. But my mom's mom and dad came from France, England, and of course Ireland. They were pretty Irish.
Pretty hot-headed.
Yeah,
That's where I get it from then.
it must be. Me too.
So, Dad, what about the Rutsey last name? What was the Rutsey name when your grandpa came over?
As far as it was, Ruzio.
Ruzio?
I use ZZIO.
Okay.
They changed something.
Yeah. They thought Rutsey was better?
Yeah,
I don't understand that at all.
they did.
So, did you like school when you were going to school? Like just elementary school and high school?
Oh, yeah.
Did you
I
have?
went to Catholic grade school.
Oh, you did? What about, did you go to Catholic high school?
Yeah.
So you were,
Yeah, I started on Pittston the Catholic Bid School.
Uh-huh.
His name, and also Scranton, when they went to school there, that was a Catholic high school.
Right. What was the first job you ever had?
First job was just like a temporary job or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, set of bowling pins and bowling alley.
Oh, that's right. So they didn't have automatic bowling pin fixer-uppers, and you were that, huh?
Yeah, that was me.
Did you ever get hit?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really? Well, people thought it was funny if they could get you?
They probably did.
So how much did you get paid for that? Do you remember?
It was by the line. That's what it was.
So
It wasn't very much.
so per game,
Well, yeah, per game, right?
right? What was your next job after that? Do you remember? Well, do you know how much it was per line? Was it like a nickel a line or something like
I
that?
can't know what that was. It
Yeah.
wasn't very much. I don't know that.
Do you remember how much gas was back then? And food?
Well, one
and
time, like 19 cents a gallon. I remember that.
19 cents a gallon?
Yeah.
Yeah, the good old days, huh?
Next job was with the railroad, wasn't it? I think.
Well, that's when you were in college. How about when you were in high school before you got to college? Did you work with your dad? How did you learn to paint?
Oh, my dad, yeah.
Well, there's a job. Yeah.
Did he pay good?
Pretty good.
My dad paid pretty good too, most of the time. For the mess that I made. Did you like painting and wallpapering with your dad?
I didn't mind it. It was good.
Yeah, yeah. Mom, what was your first job?
Oh, it was a great one.
It was?
I was in high school in Detroit, and I got a job at J.L. Hudson's in the candy department.
Oh my goodness.
And she ate up all the profits.
She ate up all the profits?
And one of the requirements, or one of the conditions at work, was we could eat as much candy as we wanted to.
Oh my gosh. How did you get that job?
And I was skinny then, too.
Uh-huh.
So I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Boy, and I ate candy.
Did you pay for it later?
No, not really, because I was a kid. I was a teenager.
Burn
you
it
don't
off so quick.
care.
Yeah.
It's just different. I
Yeah.
can remember driving to work in a Hudson.
Uh-huh.
Remember the old car, the Hudson? They didn't make them for very long.
Yeah.
I used to take the bus. I used to get on the bus and take the bus to the mall
Right.
and then back again.
What about your next job after that?
And I worked there for a couple years. I didn't work when I went to college. So the first job after that was when I taught school,
Oh, okay.
after I graduated.
Right, right. Did you like college?
My first job was really babysitting. When I was 12 years old, I babysat a lot. So
Did you?
that was really my first job. And then my second job, now that I'm thinking about it, was selling Christmas cards. I used to go door to door, walking in our subdivision, and I would make enough of money to buy Christmas presents for everybody.
Wow.
And eventually I would have a party at home. Grandma would have all the ladies come over, and she made snacks and coffee and tea, and they would all come to our house and buy Christmas cards.
Wow.
Probably had 20 or 30 regular customers
Wow.
buy Christmas cards from me all the time.
So that's probably why you do so well in real estate.
Yeah, because I'm not afraid of knocking on doors.
Yeah, yeah,
Although I would be today, but
yeah.
can you imagine a 12-year-old knocking on doors today,
Gosh, no.
selling Christmas cards?
Yeah. Yeah, the world's changed a little bit, hasn't
So my third job was J.L. Hudson's.
it? Okay. Dad, after high school, what did you do? Did you go directly to college?
Well, I was in college for 2 years. Then I went in the Army for 2 years.
Okay.
Then went back into college again, finished up college.
So when were you in the Army?
53 to 55.
53 to 55, and did you go to Korea? Is that what you did?
Yeah, I went to Korea.
Were you there the whole time, just about?
Well, for a little over 12 months
What job did you have?
over there.
Yeah.
I was a wheel vehicle mechanic and also a truck driver
Okay.
over there.
Did you like doing that?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Did you? What was your favorite memory in Korea?
Favorite memory?
Oh, I know a better question.
Okay.
What was your favorite R&R?
Going to Japan.
Why is that?
It was nice. We went over there twice.
Oh, did you?
Go for like 1 week at a time. So,
So what would you do while you were there? You gotta keep this G-rated though.
no,
No.
well, they just go there. We usually go to the same motel or hotel over there. And there was a lot of places to go as far as the soldiers and all that. You know. So that's what we did.
Well, that sounds.
Usually we kept out of trouble. So.
Yeah, yeah. So you were there right after the Korean War,
Yeah.
kind of the ceasefire or whatever was signed or whatever.
Yeah. I was there in 1953, June of 53, and I went in August, so I signed up in August of 53, and went over to Korea in 54.
Right. And then you came back and finished your degree in college after that?
Yeah.
And what did you get a degree in?
Business?
Business, really? I thought it was in computer programming.
No.
Did you do computer programming?
Not in college, no.
No, but you did it at work?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did they have computer programming in college at the time you went? Probably
No, really,
not.
just
Yeah,
the
probably
software.
not.
Not very many did. They did have it.
Right. So how did you get involved with programming computers?
Well, when I was going to back to college, I was doing work for New York Central Railroad, and that got me involved in computers and so forth.
So what kind of programming languages did you work with? Do you remember?
Not too much of there, as I recall. Just I can't remember what some
The
basic word.
Fortran,
No, not for that. That's more the scientific stuff. SIBO,
C some, yeah,
COBOL?
COBOL. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
that COBOL. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Huh. So why did you eventually got out of that? Did you not enjoy that anymore,
Oh,
or
no, I enjoyed that.
you just,
It was really fun.
was it? Okay. Mom, how about you in school? What was your degree in?
My major was in French.
Really?
Dumb.
Oui.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It came easy to me, and so I majored in it, which is a
Right.
dumb reason, but
Right.
whatever. And my minor was in education. So when I graduated from college, I taught school.
Right.
I graduated in February and started to teach within a couple weeks after that.
Wow.
As a substitute, basically, because it was the middle of the year.
Right.
And then I got pregnant, and so I continued as a substitute.
Did
until
Dad know about that?
Did who?
Did Dad know about that? About you getting pregnant?
No, oh boy. Yeah, did he ever?
Nobody ever told me.
No, that's what you say all the time.
Well, tell me about how you guys met.
At the beach.
Dad, do you want to take over?
I picked up at the beach.
You picked her up at the beach. You were out hunting down.
First time.
First time? Just one try? Have you ever met her before?
No.
No, you just saw her at the beach and went over and said.
Well, she was there, but some friends.
So you were there with some friends,
And I was there with some friends.
and all of you guys were out looking for chicks,
Yeah.
and you just went up.
Just happened away.
So you started talking, and then what?
That's all it took.
And then you had kids?
Oh, jeez.
No. I mean, what was your first date like? What did you do on your first date? Do you remember?
Oh, gosh.
You better remember this,
I went
Dad.
to driving.
Is that right, Mom?
No, we went to a movie and saw The King and I.
Oh, okay.
And one of my favorite movies.
The King is. Why is it one of your favorites? Because it was your first date.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah.
The King and I.
I think Mom might have a different interpretation of that.
Well, that's all right. Let him think that. That's fine.
What did you guys do on dates when you went out on dates?
Oh,
Good movie.
yeah. Go to
Movies
movies
mostly?
Yeah. What?
Those were pretty new back then? I mean, color films and everything, weren't they? Or is it?
No, TV was, but movies were colored for as long as I can remember.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, it was. TV was always black and white in the very beginning.
Right, right.
And when we first moved to Detroit, we didn't have a TV.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember going to the neighbors with a little tiny TV screen, all in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
2 channels and something.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, Gene had some really good friends, Bob and Audrey Sack, that had just gotten married. So we used to go out with them and play cards.
Uh-huh.
And meet with others. We used to play lots of pinochle at that time.
Did you?
We used to play lots of
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
Remember Dave and
Dave.
that you worked with at Ford's.
Yeah.
So
Now I want you to be honest with this question. Who's your favorite second-born child?
yeah, I saw that question and I thought, how can I answer that one incorrectly?
What was your most challenging memory with the kids?
You know,
And you can, I said in here no
I know.
names, but that doesn't,
I know.
mean,
Well, the first thing that came to my mind when I read that question was Lori when she was 13.
mm-hmm.
Standing at the bottom of the stairs, looking at me in the eye, saying, "Mom, you don't know anything." So, as teenagers, you two boys didn't I never thought of any real issues with you guys until you were 40 or 50 and told me about all the stuff you did that I never knew about, which was fine because I'm glad I didn't know about it when it was going on.
Well, that's the truth, but you don't know the half of it.
So,
I haven't told on Mark yet. Dad, how about you? Is there any, what's some of your favorite memories of the kids?
well, I just think back now and think I never appreciated Dad enough, and I've said this to you a lot. He was such a good dad, and he took care of you guys, and he was with you and played with you all the time, and I just didn't appreciate him enough until later in life,
Right.
when I look back and I see him playing with the grandkids.
Right. Dad, as you look back over your life, what is something that one of the things you're most proud of?
Our family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would agree with that. What specifically? Just that.
Just we got nice kids, they're all healthy,
Right. Yeah, you don't see that very much.
No.
Mom, how about you?
When you asked that question, I thought, okay, Judy, be quiet, let Jean answer. But I would have said exactly the same thing. Family.
Anything more specific or?
Just, I thank you, Lord, every day for you guys. That's all.
What life lessons would you want to pass on to like your children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren?
Love.
Love one another.
There's all kinds of life lessons, but I almost have to have specific examples. I can't think of anything right now.
Right. How
Just
about
set a good example.
Dad? What would you say is an important life lesson for kids, grandkids?
Well, same as Mom said, I think.
You can't cheat. That's cheating. You can't steal her answer.
There's only one answer for that.
What's your favorite holiday memory?
Holy Christmas.
Yeah. Any particular one?
No, they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
It's kind of a special time of year.
Do you remember when one Christmas we had lobster and you took all the lobster claws and put them on your fingers and chased us around the house?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Do you?
No.
Mom, how about you? What's your favorite?
That's the year I remember buying Grandpa lobster, because we didn't have a lot of money then. I remember buying Grandpa the lobster that was his Christmas present.
Oh, was it?
Guy. Christmas was always special, but Thanksgiving was wonderful too. It was always fun to get together with Uncle Al and Aunt Connie and all their kids and all our kids. We did that for so long, and that was great. We used to have a great time.
Right.
It was special.
What is one thing that you would like to be remembered for, or two, or but I mean.
That I was honest, did a good job, set a good example.
So, Dad, what was one thing that you'd like to be remembered for?
Did a good job with you guys. Bringing up all that.
Right.
And providing for you well enough
Yeah.
with the help of Mom.
If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have done it.
Takes two to tango.
What was your first apartment or house like?
Oh, yeah. Remember that?
Yeah, tell them.
I forget what was that. It's right.
Wasn't on Stopel, but it was a couple blocks
It
away.
wasn't far from where our house was on Stropel. Right?
So you had an apartment before, and then you got this house on Stopel. Was that before?
Oh, no, that's where my parents lived. That's what we did before
Okay.
we got married.
Okay.
And then we rented this apartment a few blocks away, really not far. And,
And then you moved into the house at Cathedral?
No.
no. We moved over to West Chicago, wasn't it? We rented a house in West Chicago.
Oh, you rented a house in West Chicago?
Duplex.
Couple years, wasn't it?
It's a row house, actually.
Right.
Yeah, for a couple of years, yeah.
Keith was born there,
Oh, was I?
on West Chicago.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, we moved over to Dearborn?
Cathedral.
Or Cathedral, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first apartment we lived in when we first got married was upstairs.
Yeah.
And below us was another family with 3 children from Ireland.
Oh, wow.
And they were really nice.
Really?
Big help to me because I was newly married and Mark was born there. And of course Mark got pneumonia when he was 3 months old, and so she was support there for me, which was nice.
Was he in the hospital during that time?
Yeah, he was in the hospital for a week in an oxygen tent.
Wow.
Yeah, when you think back, and he was premature to begin with,
Right.
to get pneumonia when he's 3 months old. But that's the apartment that I knew that I never wanted to live anywhere where I couldn't walk out my front door and be on grass.
Yeah.
I didn't like having to go up and down the stairs.
Yeah. So, Dad, one other question, then we'll finish up. A question for you, Dad. Do you remember when you cut your hand with the saw down in the basement at Cathedral?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Do you remember what happened or how that happened?
I can't forget right now.
Yeah.
Did you have something to do with it?
That wasn't me, it was Mark. I just wanted to.
Mark felt so guilty
Did he
after
really?
that happened for years, probably 2 or 3 years. And he
How
was-
old was he when it happened?
Well, I was changing Lori's diaper when it happened. So Lori was just under a year old. And so Mark was 6 or 7. And Dad was using a circular saw down in the basement, cutting some trim, doing something. He was always doing something around the house. And Mark asked him to cut a piece of wood, and because it was too short, and because Dad cut his finger on the piece of wood that Mark wanted cut,
Yeah.
Mark always felt guilty.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't his fault.
Worked out fine.
Yeah.
So.
I think I remember going to the hospital.
Oh, that was traumatic for me. No, Grandma took care of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder why I have that. I have a memory of Dad wrapping a handkerchief around his hand.
That's exactly right.
Did he? Yeah.
Yes. That's weird that you would, because
I thought I was in the car with that. But
you might have been. Maybe she just took care of Lori.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But that's the only time Dad was ever in the hospital, was when he was in there with his finger.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yep.
Still there.
Yep.
There it is.
Wait, let's see. There it is. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
No,
I think that'll be good.
that's great.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna turn them off.